Most coaching programs spend hours on how to prepare for sessions. They'll teach you centering techniques, breathing exercises, how to clear your mind before a client arrives. And that's important. We covered that in the last video. But here's what gets missed. What happens while you're in there? What do you do when you're 30 minutes into a heavy session and you feel your own energy draining? Nobody talks about that. And what about after? When the session ends and you're carrying something that doesn't belong to you? That's what we're exploring today. This is one of those areas where the 2025 ICF Competency Update made something explicit that was previously implied. ICF now says we maintain our well-being not just in preparation for sessions, but throughout and following each session. That word throughout changes everything. It means you're allowed, actually you're expected, to monitor yourself while you're coaching, to notice when you're fading, to make adjustments in real time. And that word following, that means you need to practice for what happens when the Zoom call ends. Because what you absorb doesn't just evaporate. So the 2025 language gives us 3 phases to consider. Preparation, which we already covered. Getting yourself ready mentally, emotionally, physically. But now we're adding what happens in the middle of the session. And what happens when it's over. Think of it as a complete cycle. You can't just show up ready and expect that readiness to last the whole way through. Coaching is demanding work, especially when your client is going deep. You need strategies for all 3 phases, not just the beginning. Let me tell you about a coach I worked with. She was in a session, a really heavy one. Client was processing grief. About 40 minutes in, she noticed she was holding her breath. Her shoulders were up around her ears. Her jaw was clenched. She was so focused on being present for her client that she completely abandoned herself. So she did something simple. She took one conscious breath. Just one, without breaking eye contact, without leaving the client. She dropped her shoulders, unclenched her jaw. And here's the thing, the client didn't even notice, but she was suddenly 10 times more present than she'd been a moment before. That's what real-time self-care looks like. Quick internal check-ins, small physical resets, recognizing when you need even a tiny recalibration. Now, some of you might be thinking, but isn't that abandoning the client? If I'm paying attention to myself, am I really fully with them? And the answer is yes. In fact, you're more with them when you stay resourced. Think about it this way. If you're running on empty, what are you really offering? A depleted version of yourself, a coach who's physically present but energetically gone. Your client deserves better than that. So taking care of yourself isn't something you do instead of serving your client. It's how you serve your client well. Now let's talk about what happens when the session ends. I knew a coach, talented, skilled, genuinely cared about her clients. She had back-to-back sessions most days. Session ends, next one starts. No breaks, no processing time. For months, she thought she was fine, until she wasn't. One day she realized she was dreading every session. She was exhausted all the time. She'd absorbed so much of her client's struggles that she couldn't find herself anymore. That's what accumulation looks like. It doesn't happen overnight. It builds session after session. Their grief, their anxiety, their frustration. It sticks to you if you don't have a way to release it. So what does post-session care actually look like? For some coaches, it's physical. They need to move, a walk around the block, some stretches, literally shaking off the energy they've been holding. For others, it's reflective. A few minutes of journaling, not about the client's content, but about their own experience. What did I notice in my body? What emotions came up for me? Others find that a brief meditation or breathing practice helps them reset. And some coaches develop rituals, making a cup of tea, changing the lighting, listening to a specific piece of music that signals this session is complete. The specific practice matters less than having one. Here's why this matters so much. Coaching is inherently absorptive work. You're sitting with people in their hardest moments. You're holding space for pain, confusion, fear, frustration. And if you don't have a way to set that down, it accumulates. I've seen coaches burn out, not because they weren't good at coaching, because they were too good. They gave everything and kept nothing for recovery. That's not sustainable. And here's the thing, preventing burnout isn't self-indulgence. It's professional responsibility. If you burn out, you can't serve anyone. Let me name some things coaches tell themselves that aren't true. First, if I'm thinking about myself during a session, I'm being selfish. No, you're being smart. A grounded coach serves better than an overwhelmed one. Second, I don't really need recovery time. I'm fine. Maybe you feel fine right now, but accumulation is sneaky. It shows up later. Every coach needs time to process, even after sessions that felt easy. And third, I take a vacation every year. That handles it. It doesn't. You can't store up stress for 12 months and expect 1 week to clear it. You need daily practices, not annual ones. So here's what I want you to walk away with. The 2025 ICF language makes this explicit. Your well-being matters before, during, and after every session. Not because you deserve nice things, though you do, but because a resource coach is an effective coach. When you take care of yourself, you're taking care of your clients. There's no conflict there. Build your practices. Check in with yourself mid-session. Create post-session rituals. Make this part of how you work not something you fit in when you have time. Next, we're going to talk about something related. Knowing when you need help from outside sources. Because taking care of yourself also means recognizing your limits.